When is it the best time to go for therapy? This we started in the first part of this conversation, and I think it's a good place to wind up. When is it the best time to go for therapy? Anybody can start.
Depends.
Oh, you like that word?
Yeah, depends, because it's true, it depends. There are a lot of things that depend, yeah. So it depends on whether you feel you need the therapy, whether someone else tells you that whether someone tells you that you need the therapy. So that's what I'm saying, it depends.
Okay.
Yeah, because it
Two main cues,
Yeah.
if you think you need it,
Yeah.
and if someone else suggests it.
Yes.
All right. You agree?
Yeah, I do agree. Because, okay, I thought the question would be like, give us an example of when you should be seeking for.
No, nothing so personal.
Okay, fine. But you see, we might get ourselves in tough situation, like you might have a tough job. You see, you are vying for a seat, maybe for a governor seat. You don't know what is happening there, but you just think you're being called for a governor and all that. Suddenly, you get the seat. And then all these things from the villages, from the small towns, you get cases, you have to handle them, and then you feel it is overwhelming you. So, at some point, it might also like criticize your personal decision, your personal things like that, and so you might feel like you're breaking. So at that point you might
Seek
you might
therapy.
seek therapy. You might seek the help.
Support, yes.
I personally don't think there's a right time. Why? Because you may think you're okay, but you're not. When you actually speak to someone and speak your mind out, you actually realize you're not okay. So I don't think there's a right time for therapy. I think you should always be open to the idea of therapy.
All the time.
Yeah.
I like your angle as well.
When like someone suggests it, but then too, you have those times where like you can just sit down and you just start thinking, like you're taking a walk and then you're not with anyone, you're just alone and probably a dog. And then you're just thinking to yourself, whether am I okay? You start thinking about some various scenarios, yeah. So like I think the second you might feel that something's off, you should consider, because it's easier to deal with something when it's a small issue rather than when it's a big, because like when it's a small issue, you have all these like ways to tackle them, but then when it's a huge problem, when you're explaining to your therapist how you tried this, it's not worked, you tried this, it's not worked, it's because you let it develop so that it doesn't work like that. Because like even with regular treatments, like if it's a mild thing, you're going to be told, just rest. But then when it's heavy, you're going to have to take antibiotics and stuff. So I think it's best to deal with it when it's still minor, but you have to realize it.
I like what you brought up, like with physical ailments. And one of the major complaints with doctors is when they get patients who say, the question is, how long have you been feeling like this? 6 months, 2 years, you've been having back pains for 6 months and you did nothing about it. Oh yeah, I started sleeping more and I started taking Panadols, but then the pain was persistent. Oh yeah. Full stop. And it's very frustrating for doctors, I think, because now they need to go to like second tier treatment, whereas they would have told you, see a chiropractor or see a physiotherapist, they should engage us. So now it's become a thing, right? So when is it the best time to seek medical advice?
Immediately when you feel you're not okay.
I have a different view that just hit my mind. What about when there is no accessibility to a therapist? And and maybe your environment cannot even you cannot even find a therapist. So, and yet the situation that you are in, you have to seek a therapist. Well, I find it to answer it in this way. Maybe in that scenario you are in somewhere like there is no good communication. Calling is an issue, but you have a trouble. that is where now I think the good book really answers most of it, like the Bible, I say the good book. And so you will find some different principles that will find you when you are at that lonely place, that alone place. And the right, and you know the right thing is to go for a therapist. But there is some things that you have to develop by yourself, and before you think of a therapist. And that is what he was saying about thinking. You go somewhere and then you think about it. And so, like the good book says, think about of these things, right?
I like the angle you have brought in.
Yeah.
When you do not have direct access to a therapist.
Yeah.
Remember in one of the segments we talked about therapeutic conversations, right? And therapeutic conversations, perhaps I should have added there, you can have therapeutic conversations with yourself, right? Start off with being a good friend to yourself. Be a good friend to yourself, so that then you and you know, we do talk to ourselves like all the time, maybe not consciously. Like when you ask yourself, shall I have tea or shall I have coffee? You're talking to yourself. Yes?
Yeah, exactly.
So in the same vein, when you have a safe environment with yourself, you're able to say to yourself, hey Rhoda, what's that you're thinking about? You know, nini hii nakukula? Why are you stressed about this? And Rhoda should be able to answer Rhoda back, right? For where there's no access.
Yeah.
And when you have such conversations with yourself and then you base them on a strong principle like the Bible, right? Or any other religious book that guides you, then you're able to know when you're going off, you know, because these are the Bible principles, these are the religious principles. Do not steal, do not murder, do not this and the other. When you start thinking, but I really do want to murder, now you have a basis to compare your thoughts against.
Yeah.
That is one. Two, therapeutic conversations with people that you trust, with people of sound lifestyle. Yeah? And the sound lifestyle is what tells you that they have sound thoughts. Yeah? Three, Suruvi, Care for Caregivers, does online counseling as well. You can text, you can call, we can consider having a video call, and you can reach a therapist in that way. I think of importance is know where to find a therapist. Like when you move to any new part of the country, and one of the things you need to find out is that where is the nearby hospital, right? Who is a therapist I can reach out to? Make contact with that therapist. It doesn't have to be a paid contact, but just you know that in the event I get overwhelmed, because there are times when you are past self-help, you know, there are times when you are past self-help or friend help, seek a therapist. And maybe just to demystify it a little bit, therapy is when you bring your thoughts on top of a table, figurative speech, on top of a table, so that an outsider is able to say, I see what you have put on the table. There is a pen, there is a phone, there's a diary. You've been using the pen for the wrong reason. The pen doesn't help the phone. You know? Yeah. And then they put you back together and off you go. So the thoughts are yours, right? You just receive new perspectives, new thoughts, new angles, new information to help you live your life better. And that's why I want us to end this series. And I want to thank all my friends here with their amazing names and very brilliant thoughts. You guys were really, really helpful. And if you agree with them, let us know in the comments. If you disagree with what we have talked about, put it also in the comments and let us have that discussion as well. Because remember, talk is therapy. So let's talk about what we are experiencing in our lives. Who knows? Someone else may benefit from your wisdoms or from your struggles and gain insight. Thank you for being with us this whole time. I am Rhoda Wagaki, Director, Suruvi Care for Caregivers.